I was a kid, bro. I was a kid, bro. Bro, my mom couldn't save me from that, bro. It's the only thing that my mom could not save me from, bro.
Have you ever wondered what exactly happened to Popp Hunna, so much that even his own mother couldn't save him? Charleston White explains it perfectly here.
You tell me and my mother witnessed 13 years old, and my mother take me down there and say what she saw and say, baby, you say what you saw, and you telling this kid that he should have went against his mom. That's how you know these been in the streets. That's why I hate these.
If one person see that a big artist with you, especially from your hometown, he's on your big song,
right?
Everybody's like, oh, I'd be going back to what I said at the beginning. A lie that goes unchecked becomes the truth.
Right.
For those of you who don't know, Omir Bernard, better known as Popp Hunna, was the artist behind the viral hit Adderall, Corvette.
That Corvette, hopping in motherfucker that like jet, like that.
It all comes down to one thing, snitching. The twist, though, is that he was just a kid when it happened. But despite that, the industry completely turned on him for it.
The kid, bro. I was a kid, bro. Ain't no kid supposed to go through like that, bro. I seen some shit that a kid wasn't supposed to see.
When Popp Hunna was around 13 or 14 years old, he reported AIMDR. Once rappers found out, they went in on him. He was called out left and right, no one wanted to collaborate with him, and he ended up blackballed from the industry.
Like condoning and snitching and all this, bro, like, snitching's not cool. I don't give a if you snitch when you was 10 years old. I don't give a if you snitch when you was 30.
To a lot of people, this seemed unfair. After all, he was just a kid, and most kids in his position would have done the same thing. But here's where it gets complicated. People who don't understand how the streets work might not realize that in the hood, even a 14-year-old can already be considered a full-fledged gang member, with kids that age sometimes already involved in serious crimes. However, Popp Hunna wasn't part of any gang or living by any street code. He did what any normal teenager would have done.
He wasn't raised in the streets. He don't know anything about standing on those street codes and principles. And I don't know many 13-year-old kids who was taught to do that. So you mean...
Like, I was 14 years old. I'm saying, like, I'd never been in the streets. I'm saying, like, I never played with no guns, never sold no drugs. I never did none of that.
Unfortunately, that didn't matter. His career was destroyed, and it took a heavy toll on his mental health. Things got so bad that he even contemplated S-side.
Before anybody even have a chance to say anything, I'ma say my mother. You talking about? I'm gonna say my self.
It's a sad situation all around, and there's definitely more to unpack about how it all went down. Popp Hunna, born Omir Bernard on October 21st, 2000 in the vibrant city of Philadelphia, grew up surrounded by the culture and energy that would later inspire his music. As a teenager, he attended Benjamin Franklin High School, a spot many Philly locals know well. If you've ever seen one of Popp's music videos, you'd probably recognize Philly's streets instantly. It's the backdrop for most of his visuals and the foundation of his sound. Even as a kid, Popp was deeply into music. It didn't take long before he decided to start creating his own tracks, turning his love for the art into something tangible. After graduating high school, he began uploading music to YouTube in 2019. One of his earliest releases was a mixtape called Singles, which included the appropriately titled track Single. That song got him some well-deserved attention, and by January 2020, he followed it up with a new EP 1 year later.
I ain't put no effort into this song, like no effort. It was just a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer. I was like, wow, out of all the songs I ever made, this one?
The EP featured a revamped version of his earlier hit, now titled I'm Single, and it quickly became Popp's first viral track. The song wasn't just catchy. It came from a personal place, reflecting on his own experiences after a breakup.
I was going through a rough time with a girl, just felt single at the time, so it just felt like the right thing to do. I mean, when I went into the studio, it was more like just how I felt, so I freestyled it.
Meanwhile, TikTok users turned it into an anthem for announcing their single and ready to mingle status, helping the track blow up even more. As successful as I'm Single was, Popp's next release would take him to a whole new level. In October 2020, his track Adderall, Corvette, went viral on TikTok, cementing his status as a rising star. You couldn't scroll for long without seeing someone dancing to the infectious beat, and even celebrities couldn't resist joining in on the trend. No one was more surprised by the overwhelming response than Popp himself. The inspiration for Adderall came when Popp stumbled across a beat on YouTube already titled Corvette. After listening, he felt a spark and decided to add his own spin to it. The result was a track that took the internet by storm.
I just heard this crazy beat. Like, I'm like, damn, like, what's this? The beat happened to be called Corvette. That's where I got the idea.
Riding the wave of its success, Popp teamed up with fellow Philly rapper Lil Uzi Vert for a remix that dropped in December 2020. The two hyped up the release with fun Instagram posts of them vibing to the song, giving fans even more to talk about. That same month, Popp and Uzi collaborated again on the remix of another track, Take Off, which appeared on Popp's Mudboy project. Things were looking really bright for Popp Hunna. He was building solid buzz in the music scene, and it seemed like he was on the verge of blowing up in a big way. He had TikTok hits like Adderall, Corvette Corvette, and I'm Single, and he even got the ultimate cosign from fellow Philly superstar Lil Uzi Vert. Uzi didn't just show love. He hopped on 2 of Popp's tracks, boosting his credibility and reach. For a while, everything seemed perfect. But then, out of nowhere, some old paperwork came to light, and it flipped Popp's world upside down. These weren't just any documents. They were connected to a homicide case Popp was involved in when he was just 14 years old. Back in 2015, Popp wasn't a rapper yet. He was just a kid who happened to witness a tragic event: the shooting of another young teen named Duval D. Shields Jr., known to friends and family as DJ. Here's what happened. DJ, also 14, had recently gotten his hands on a BB gun and was showing it off around the neighborhood in North Philly. One day, he used the BB gun to break up a fight between some girls and then flashed it at a younger boy named Nana, trying to scare him. Nana, terrified, ran home and told his older brother Kyree. Kyree, wanting to protect his little brother, decided to confront DJ. He wasn't aggressive about it, he just told DJ to leave Nana alone. But DJ didn't take it well and started threatening Kyree, even lifting his shirt to show the BB gun tucked into his waistband. Kyree walked away from the situation to avoid escalating things, but the whole incident left him unsettled. Later that evening, Kyree decided he wasn't going to let it slide. He went over to Popp Hunna's house, and the two, both just 14 at the time, decided to find DJ. Around 8 p.m., they headed to 10th Street in North Philly, where people were hanging out, including Popp's own mother. They couldn't find DJ right away, so they stuck around. While they were there, a 19-year-old named Demetrius Brown, known as Meat, approached Popp and asked, "Where the ops at?" Popp, confused, told him he didn't know what he was talking about. Not long after, DJ rode up on his bike. That's when things took a turn. Meat confronted DJ, accusing him of pulling a gun on one of his young bulls. An argument broke out, escalating into a scuffle. Popp, trying to de-escalate, grabbed Meat's arm, but Meat broke free. DJ, feeling cornered, went to lift his shirt and reach for his BB gun. Meat wasn't about to let that happen. He grabbed a real revolver from his coat and shot DJ in the back of the head as the boy turned to run. It was a heartbreaking tragedy. DJ was just a kid messing around with a toy gun, and it ended up costing him his life. Meat was charged with third-degree murder and sentenced to 40 years in prison. Fast forward 5 years to 2020. Somehow, the paperwork from Popp's witness statement about the murder leaked onto the internet, and everything changed. In the rap world, especially for artists who claim street ties, snitching is seen as the ultimate betrayal, a cardinal sin that can destroy careers. Even though Popp was just a scared 14-year-old kid at the time, the label of rat stuck, and it led to major drama for him. One of the biggest issues that came from the leaked documents was the drama around some alleged DMs between Popp Hunna and Lil Uzi Vert. Basically, some supposed messages surfaced where Uzi was allegedly telling Popp to take him off his records because he couldn't associate with a snitch. It was a serious claim, and it quickly caught fire. But here's the twist. Popp later came out and said the DMs were completely fake, insisting he and Uzi never had that conversation.
That's the last messages right there, bro. He never said that, bro. He never said that, bro. Like, don't you think if he would have said some shit like that, it would have been in?
As if the fake DMs weren't enough, there was also a fabricated tweet from Uzi making the rounds. In the tweet, Uzi was allegedly denouncing Popp Hunna for snitching, doubling down on the narrative that he wanted nothing to do with him. Even though Popp clarified that none of it was real, the damage was already done. Most people believed the rumors, and the fake messages only added fuel to the fire. During all this chaos, Popp Hunna stayed mostly silent. He didn't address the drama publicly, choosing instead to let things simmer down on their own. But while he stayed quiet, others in the rap game weren't so kind. A few rappers jumped on the opportunity to call him out and pile onto the snitching allegations. One of the first to speak out was Trippie Redd. He allegedly reached out to another artist, a rapper named Toolsy from Syracuse, New York, to criticize him for collaborating with Popp. According to Toolsy, Trippie basically told him, "The guy you made a song with, Popp Hunna, yeah, he's a snitch." Toolsy wasn't happy about Trippie trying to dictate who he could work with, so he decided to make their conversation public. Then Lil J chimed in, throwing his own shade at Popp. He tweeted something along the lines of, "I did a bit at 14, no excuse." TJ was basically saying that even at a young age, snitching is unacceptable in the streets. Whack 100, a well-known figure in hip-hop, also entered the conversation, backing up Trippie Redd's criticism of Popp. He didn't hold back, adding more weight to the narrative that Popp had violated the unwritten code of the streets. Even the late rapper Drakeo the Ruler had some things to say, taking shots at Popp and further fueling the backlash.
Like condoning and snitching and all this shit, bro. Like, snitching's not cool. I don't give a fuck if you snitched when you was 10 years old. I don't give a fuck if you snitched when you was 30.
What ended up happening was that rappers across the industry seemed to gang up on Popp Hunna. The snitching label became a stigma he couldn't shake, and it overshadowed everything else he had going for him. On top of everything Popp Hunna was going through, there was a ton of misinformation spreading online that made the situation even messier. People started claiming that the boy who died, Duval Deshields Jr., DJ, was Popp's best friend. But according to the legal documents, Popp barely even knew DJ. Then there were rumors that Popp's friend was the shooter, which was also false. The paperwork made it clear. Popp barely knew the shooter, Demetrius Meat Brown, either. As mentioned, Popp was friends with a guy named Kyree. Kyree was the older brother of the little boy DJ had scared by waving a BB gun at him. Kyree was the one who wanted to confront DJ about the incident. Popp, being 14 at the time, just tagged along for the confrontation. When they got to the scene, Popp wasn't even actively involved. He was mostly hanging out with his mom, who was also there. Meat, the shooter, was the one who escalated things. According to the legal documents, Popp wasn't involved in the fight or the shooting at all. He was just a bystander to a tragedy. About a week after the incident, homicide detectives brought him in for questioning. As a 14-year-old kid, he simply recounted what he saw that night. There was no malice, no intention of snitching, just a scared kid telling the police what unfolded in front of him. Years later, Popp got the chance to open up about everything on DJ Academic's podcast. He shared how traumatizing the whole situation was and how it still affects him to this day. He also clarified just how young and uninvolved he was when it all happened.
Bro, I was traumatized for mad years, bro. Even still to this day, bro. Like, bro, like on some real bro. Even still to this day, bro, it's still replaying in the back of my mind. Imagine seeing like that and it's just replaying over and over and over in your mind, bro. I still got in my mind till this day, bro. I was a kid, bro. I was a kid, bro. Ain't no kid supposed to go through like that, bro. I seen some that a kid wasn't supposed to see.
But here's a part of the story that a lot of people miss. 2 years after the shooting in 2017, Popp was subpoenaed to testify again, this time during Meat's sentencing. For those who don't know, a subpoena is a legal order that requires you to show up in court because your testimony is crucial to a case. Popp didn't have a choice. He was legally obligated to testify, but when he took the stand under oath, he completely walked back the statement he gave right after the crime. When asked about the paperwork from 2015, Popp said, "Forget about it, it never happened. Nothing." In court, he essentially denied the validity of his earlier statement, possibly trying to shake the snitch label that had started to haunt him. Unfortunately, the damage was already done. The rumors, misinformation, and stigma followed him into his music career, making it nearly impossible for him to succeed. Things got so bad that Popp's mental health took a severe hit. A few months later, he posted a cryptic message on Instagram that read, "20 years old with no purpose in life. Allah, call me home. I'm ready. I gave it my all." Not long after, he went live on Instagram, visibly drunk with a belt around his neck. On the stream, he poured his heart out, saying how everything that happened had ruined his life. His pain was clear, and it was heartbreaking to watch.
Before anybody even have a chance to say anything, I'ma save my mother self. You talking about? I'ma save my mother self.
Pop's career began to crumble after that, his Instagram engagement dropped significantly, and he eventually removed the like counts from all his posts. He shut down emotionally and socially, realizing that he wasn't being taken seriously in the music industry anymore. Although he tried to bounce back by releasing new music, the momentum he once had was gone. In a desperate attempt to grab attention, Popp even staged a fake stunt at Rolling Loud, where a supposed fan ran up on stage and snatched the mic from him. While it did get people talking for a moment, it backfired, with many mocking him for the publicity stunt. He tried to use the buzz to promote his new song, Maybe Call Me, but instead of reviving his career, it just led to more people making fun of him. A lot of people have come out to sympathize with Popp Hunna though, and honestly, they find the whole situation ridiculous. Think about it. In what world should a 14-year-old boy get blackballed for being a witness in a murder case? And not just any case. This was about a 14-year-old black boy, someone from Pop's own community whose life was tragically cut short. To many, the idea of punishing a kid for stepping up in a situation like that is completely whack. What's even more frustrating to some is the hypocrisy in the rap game. People were holding Popp to a street code that they themselves would never follow. Let's be real, a lot of these folks talking about the streets are just capping. They wouldn't stick to that code if they were in Popp's shoes, especially at 14 years old. It's all backward, and this situation just highlighted how ridiculous things in the industry can get. For Popp Hunna though, some fans feel like he made a critical mistake during all of this, staying silent. Back when the paperwork first leaked, they think he should have immediately come out and told his side of the story. If he had laid out all the facts, what happened, why he was a witness, and how young and uninvolved he was, they believe he could have avoided a lot of the backlash. Instead, Popp stayed quiet, hoping the drama would blow over. But as academics pointed out on his podcast, a lie that isn't checked eventually becomes the truth.
Again, going back to what I said at the beginning, a lie that goes unchecked becomes the truth.
And that's exactly what happened. All the fake narratives, like the alleged DMs from Uzi and that fabricated tweet, became the dominant story. By the time Popp finally spoke on it, over a year later, it was already too late. The damage was done, and his career had lost all the momentum it once had.
If one person see that a big artist with you, especially from your hometown, he's on your big song,
Right.
everybody's like, oh, I'd be up to with him too.
Fans are now saying that Popp's situation should serve as a lesson for other artists. If someone throws dirt on your name and that story goes viral, you can't just sit back and hope it goes away. You have to respond immediately, whether that's a statement, an interview, or even a social media post. Whatever nipping it in the bud looks like, you have to do it, because if you don't, the narrative will spiral out of control. In Popp's case, had he put out a strong response back then, that response could have shaped how the story was told. Now when you search his name, you don't see his side of the story. You see the fake DMs and that fake tweet. It's a classic example of how letting a lie run unchecked can snowball into something career damaging. That said, not everyone thinks Popp's career is over. Some fans believe he still has a shot at making a comeback, but it's going to take a lot of work. The key, they say, is building up momentum again. A hot record can change everything, and Popp has already proven that he's capable of creating viral hits. But fans are also saying he needs to rethink how he navigates the industry. Counting on street dudes in the rap game to have your back is a losing strategy. These rappers have their own images to maintain, and if supporting someone like Popp jeopardizes that image, they're not going to do it. Connections and relationships matter more than anything in this industry, and if Popp doesn't have the right people in his corner, it's going to be tough for him to break back in. Even so, a lot of fans believe Popp doesn't actually need the approval of other rappers. At the end of the day, all he really needs is one hot record. A viral hit can override all the negativity and bring the spotlight back to his music where it belongs. Fans think that if Popp focuses on making great music and stays true to himself, he can still turn things around.